Hello students, this is Shweta Roy. This video is for chapter 2 History part 3 Kings and Kingdoms in Medieval Period. In this video we are going to discuss about the administration of Chola dynasty and Tang dynasty of China. Now under the Chola rule, the villages were made self-governing unit. Now these administrative units were Koram Nadu or Kotram. Now this was depending on the size of the village. Now a number of Kuram constituted a Velenadu. Also the villages were governed by the local assemblies which were known as Ur, the Sava and the Nagaram. They used to, the village councils used to perform several tasks which also includes the dispensing of justice and collecting taxes. Also they were having well organized resource mobilization policy which was their main goal of the administration. Now if we talk about the features of the Chola administration, the Chola period reached the rich peasant of the Vella caste, they used to exercise control over the affairs of Nadu. And it comprises many villages. Now this Nadu was directly under the supervision of central government. Second feature of the Chola administration was revenue. Production of cultivated land during the time of Rajaraj constituted a major source of land revenue for the upkeep of Chola Mandalam. Here you can understand. This is the Chola administration. Now there were many mandalams under this central government, and under these mandalams there were Velenadus. Now you can see the green portion where Chola dynasty was ruling in the south, and you can see nearby that we have Pandya dynasty, which we already read that they were defeated by Cholas. So what was the role of landowners? Landowners were actually given the titles like Muvendavelam. So a Velan or a peasant serving 3 kings, Arayar, chief, etc. as mark of respect. Now they held important office at center. The villages were grouped into several types like Brahmadevas, that means that was Brahman villages, Velala, farmer villages, Taniur, those who did some commendable work, Devadana, land gifted to temples. A village was an area that had wetlands, dry lands, pur, village site, houses, house gardens, manaram, that means meeting place, wastelands for grazing cattle, tanks, cow pens, hedges, forest land, barren land, brackish land, streams, channels, rivers, arable land near rivers, pits of water and trees. So these kind of areas were there in a village. Now the assembly of Brahmins was known as Sabha. It was very powerful institution. It looked after the land gifted to Brahmins. The assembly were very well organized and functioned efficiently. Now, what was the main features of the organization of Sabha? So, it was committee. There were separate committees to look after each and every aspect of land which was gifted to Brahmins. Also, there was one committee which used to look after irrigation work, because if they have land they will do the cultivation, and for that they will go for irrigation and all. So there was one committee who used to look after the irrigation work, another after garden and temples and other things. Membership. The names of eligible members written on palm leaves were put in an earthen pot. Now, a boy was asked to take out a specific number of each committee, and in this way the committee was constituted. This was a kind of lottery system. Now, the main and most important contribution of Cholas in the history of South India was the greater amount of village autonomy given to the villagers, so that they can function without the intervention of the state and the feudatories. Now, Cholas thought that a utopia could be created by giving greater autonomy to the villages. In this sort of system, the villages was ruled by the people, for the people and of the people, a part of the preamble of Indian Constitution. That means it was kind of democracy if you see here. The Cholas had the ruling assemblies known as the Sabha, Mahasabha and a Nagaram. Now, in the larger villages where rural organization was more complex, there was variety of assemblies, and a villager could be member of two or more depending upon the membership required. Now, a village could be divided into the wards, and each ward could call an assembly for its members, some of whom might be the representatives of the professional groups such as the carpenters, smiths, the maintenance of the local temples. Relationship between these various groups were basic to the social life of the village. So you can see there was a kind of democracy. The villages were self-sufficient. Now there was Tang dynasty of China, and it lasted from AD 618 to 907. The founder of this dynasty was a military warrior, and during this rule, China Empire expanded its border to include new territories. Also, Tangs introduced civil service examination for obtaining high positions under the government. Now, the historians call this system of examination meritocracy. That was on basis of merit. It was called meritocracy. Now, under this system, people were chosen to high government positions according to merit. The system remained in the place till AD 1911. Hope you all understood all the topics taught in this video. Thank you.